But wait, click off. Today we are talking about the Viltrox 135mm 1.8 lab for Nikon. Lab. We're going to the lab today. I'm going to show you this picture right here, by the way, was the first picture taken with this lens that made me go, I mean, look at this guy. Super adorable. And the background and the rendering and... So I shot this lens for about 3 weeks, maybe a month or so, and have been impressed, absolutely impressed. But there's one thing I'm going to get to that just scares me a little bit. We'll get to that. That's called a teaser. All right, let's look at some pictures here. So first of all, this lens, yes, just like every lens, has to be tested on my ongoing project, Pony. Pigeons of New York, and it did not disappoint. So we got to some abstract pigeonage here. That was a crop, by the way. That was a crop. By the way, you know birds have a crop? It's like stomach of theirs. But I just wanted, you could see in the background that super blob back there. There's just a ton of pigeons that are back there all blobbied. A little Hitchcock nightmare here. Coming at you. But again, autofocus was quick and sharp. The lens is sharp, bokeh beautiful. The only time I found the autofocus was a little, it was for video. It kind of does a little not hunty, it does a little extra pump before it grabs onto its subject. Now, personally, I'm not a videographer when I'm shooting with a lens like this, but that's something to think about. All right, 1.8 versus 5.6 here, shooting at this fire escape, which are New York City balconies, by the way. You can see that 5.6 is obviously going to be sharper. You can notice in the lower left corner, the vignetting at, 1.8. There's a little vignetting. I don't mind vignetting on lenses, actually, because I always add like a little hidden vignette. And with this lens, you don't even need it. But if we go right to f2.8, you could see the vignetting is like pretty much reduced quite a bit. Yeah, f4, 5.6, f8 looks amazing. 0.6 and f8 seem to look a little better than f11 and even f16. So I'd say 5.6 f8 is like the super sharp sweet spot of the lens. But come on, you're going to shoot this at 1.8. Don't fool yourself. Now this portrait, if you had to guess, is it at 1.8? Is it at f2.8? Is it at f4? I mean, look at that background. You could barely see it. This is f4, believe it or not, f4. And that tells you that with distance and how close you are to your subject, you could always get nice bokeh. And if you wanted the buildings to come through, this is f11. Anyway, I thought I would have taken a picture at 1.8, but I guess I did not. God, it's so hot in here. Look at me, I'm so shiny. Landscapers. Great, I'm just gonna power through like they are. I think where this lens shines the most is full body portraits. I love shooting full body portraits and also these sort of like down, I call them down poses, where the background is just blurred out. And then just another beautiful portrait session. These are like, the sun is hitting these little weeds in the background, and I have like these nice little painterly, that sort of matches her hair, which I thought was cool. And here I backed up just a little bit. And if you back up, you're gonna see what it is a little bit more. Just know that your distance to your subject will change your background. Super blurry, less blurry. Okay, it's actually the next day because the landscapers... So this was shooting the cherry blossoms, and what was cool about this shot was I saw a cyclist that was about to like enter the frame, and I knew I had to focus shoot really quick because they would go through this window very quickly, and I got the shot. So I thought that was cool. He's totally sharp with a focus shoot very, very quick without pre-focusing. So I was impressed with that. This is pretty much straight out of camera, rich tone portrait, and the park was completely crowded, but you can see the separation. I focused on these three ladies, and this person here totally caught me looking at them. They have those like transition glasses, so you don't know where their eyes are looking. And this was cute. This little guy with his little red pants, he was dressed so nice. I was trying to get a better shot than this, but this was a cute moment. He was enamored with the police car that was there. So much so that later he was crying when they like took him away from the car. How often do you get that to happen, you know? Let's move away from the cops. No. And this was a failed moment. I thought this couple just looked amazing. They just looked so classic and old. But I missed the shot. I think the gentleman was looking towards me the second before I fired off. And also, don't shoot everything at 1.8. Sometimes we get so 1.8 crazy. I should have stopped this down because I focused on him. You see how sharp he is? But she's out of focus. You see, she's out of the depth of field because she's a little bit behind him. So I think we get a little bokeh crazy. Again, I always like a foreground element, the subject, and background element. Here's that woman again. She likes being blurry. But I thought this was a nice little touristy moment. By the way, if I see a family that's out there, you know, taking pictures with their phone, you know, and I'm out there shooting with the 135 1.8, which is so dreamy, I'll usually ask, I can take a picture and send it to you, you know. So if you're ever out there with your camera, it's something nice to do. Just make sure you say it's free. You know, I give away photos, that kind of thing. And I usually take one shot of the family and then, you know, send them an email. And they always are so thankful. Oh, yeah. And then I took my kids to the park the next day to sort of do my own photo shoot. And they're getting kind of to the age where if I have the camera out, you know, it's like, what are we doing now? But they are still fantastic models for me. They're so used to the camera. But I've actually been taking less photos of my kids as they get older, which is super sad. So I actually went out with the 135. I went out with the Fuji millimeter. I went out with the GFX 50S and took some photographs with that, which were incredible in the park. And here I had them walking towards the camera, and they absolutely were in focus for every shot. This was usually I shoot 6, 7, 8 frames a second. Yeah, there's my son who's going to college. I can't believe. Here I was a little bit further back just to get more of the scene. I was so far, I was yelling at them for here. But yeah, super nice. And then I wanted to, you know, what happens with a 135 or a 100 millimeter or 200 is a lot of times we fill the frame with the person just because you have to be so far back to get a shot like this, like quote, a wide. But you know, sometimes think about that. Think about that you don't have to shoot headshots all the time. This is what we usually think of, by the way, when we, you know, have a 135 as a full body. And I think this is where this lens excels. I don't think you really need this lens if you're shooting 3/4 and headshot. It's just way too much, you know, like it blurs the background so much that it's almost annoying. But when you do a full body like this, it really looks kind of has that medium format look. Also for sports, it gives a unique look, the 1.8. Most sports lenses that are zooms are 2.8s or f4s. So it's really nice to shoot, you know, like here's my son doing the long jump, and here is a track star coming down, and you get beautiful blurred backgrounds that really pinpoint the athlete. So it's a really nice look. Oh, we got to go back to our friend as we finish up our thoughts on the Viltrox 135 1.8. A marvel, first of all, optically. Super sharp at 1.8, even sharper at 2.8 f4. Beautiful rendering of the background. Build quality is great. I don't love the little window. It has function buttons if you need. So overall, it's oh, what's the filter thread here? We got a 82, which is similar to a lot of lenses. Nothing crazy there. And also, I love that the hood is rubberized on the bottom. Compare that to your plasticky, sharp, you know, lens hoods that you usually get. It's a nice welcome change. So 2 things that scare me. The first one is it's heavy. That's number one. That doesn't scare me, but but I think the one thing that scares me just slightly is that putting it on my Z cameras, it does go on slightly tight. Tighter than this 16 millimeter Viltrox that's filming me right now. That one I had no problems with. Just put it on, click, totally worked great. But this guy, I put it on and it could just be my copy. So let me know below if you guys have the 135, if it goes on tighter than your Z lenses, or does it go on just as smooth? It could just be my copy. I was thinking also that it could be the weather sealing, you know, just being a little tighter, the weather sealing. Anyway, you guys know that I had problems with breaking the little connectors on my Nikon Z6 III. I don't want to damage my camera again, have to pay money again. So that's the one thing that makes me nervous. But one thing you could do is just keep it on your camera once you put it on. So anyway, that's the Viltrox 135 1.8. Thanks Viltrox for sending it over, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!